Yeah, that's right. I see the chat. I see y'all rocking. I see y'all coming. Hit that like button as you enter the building. You know what I'm saying? Hit that like button. Show your love. Show your support. You know what I'm saying? This that dope soul. This that new thing. Nobody don't know about it.
Hello, Nick family. Welcome to the Just Knickin' It weekly show. I'm your host, Stephanie, aka Queen, joined by Jeff Clafter of the Happily Ever After Daily Sports Blog, Ajay, the villain, Nick Nation, Delusional, from the Delusional Nick Fan Network. Be sure to subscribe to his channel. The link is in the description. Jeff Clafter's Daily Sports Blog link is also in the description. As always, a lot to talk about this week. We'll talk about the Knicks. Are they where we thought we would be by this time? There's been some talk by, I believe it was Cat or Josh Hart, that they're still, trying to figure out the system. Do we think it should be figured out by now? What is this team ceiling? And do we think they'll get there by the playoffs? We'll talk about Mike Brown, who is not very popular among the Knicks fan base right now. Is that just an overreaction or an impatience with him, or are there some things that you're seeing with him that you'd like to talk about? Let's get right to it. Jeff, Ajay, Nick Nation, Delusional, how you feeling?
Excellent.
Oh,
Feeling good. Feeling good. It's always a
excellent.
pleasure to be in Dope City.
Oh,
Excellent.
Beat that one.
Happy to be here as usual.
all right. I mean, so before we get into the nitty gritty, I'll just ask a general question. Shout out to the chat, those who showed up early. DJ Space Ghost, Sherwin, Iconoclast 6994, Big Rican 72. Appreciate you. Before we get into the nitty gritty, I'll just start with a general question. What stood out for you? Who or what has stood out to you over the past week? It seemed like it's been more than a week. Maybe it's just where I'm at, but it seemed like it's been like 2-3 weeks since we've had the weekly show. But we'll start with you, Nick Nation, Delusional, Ajay. Jeff, you got to go last. We always chomping it up.
I'm good with that. We'll go.
Save the best for last.
That's not what I was thinking.
Delusional, who or what has stood out for you over the past week?
Oh, that's a tough one because I think we've been having kind of poor performance, during the stretch during that time period. So for me, it's just been Cat. Cat's been the efficient one lately. Even though sometimes he'll take less shots, but it seems like he found a rhythm. Team made an emphasis on giving him the ball. We've seen the offense change. It's they still run certain sets, but then they usually run every aspect of the play, but then it ultimately ends with Cat in the post. Which we've been telling him to utilize that aspect when someone is smaller and on him. So that's probably the difference, or what I've seen in the last few weeks is just Cat emergence. But then of course everyone else is falling off.
Yeah. Let's piggyback off of Cat, and I'm really interested. Who you don't have to get into details, but who has fallen off in your opinion, or just everybody but Cat?
Well, I think Josh for me is the most important fall off, because with Josh, he was the one that was grabbing the boards, grabbing assists, and fast break off a missed basket. He's taking off and is looking more turnovers, not hesitant on certain jump shots when he's open. He'll pump fake and then attack when the paint is full. So Josh to me is someone I think kind of recessed.
Okay. All right. Let's piggyback off of Cat, and any thoughts on Cat's performance over the past week? That's actually a good point. I think, what is that, recency bias? Those just that 5 shots the last game. What's going on here? But when you take the week as a whole, you're right. He has emerged, and we have seen some differences in the offense when it comes to him. Anybody else want to piggyback off of what he said about Cat?
I will. I mean, I agree with him 100%. Cat has stood out, and a couple of shows ago when we kind of I think the question was, what do you expect or what do you hope to see the rest of the season? And I think unanimously we're all saying we want to see Cat pick it up on offensively. Okay, but not only he's done that, but he's been playing much better defense lately. Also, not so much so being in the right place at the right time, but he's moving better. He's moving his feet better. He's challenging shots. He's doing all the little things. I just wish, I really hope Cat would play defense with his hands up. He likes to play defense with his hands down. I don't understand why. He's 7 foot tall. Hands up would make a huge difference defensively. But he's been tremendous. Even the last game, he only took 5 shots. He was 100%. Like, you could literally say, you know what? We probably lost that game because he only took 5 shots. You know, because they only gave him the ball 5 shots, or they didn't call enough plays for him to get more than 5 shots. You know, whichever way you want to look at it. But we'd have a better chance. I mean, the guy, he's hitting the shots. Why not feed him the ball? Why not call plays for him and stuff like that? But he definitely stood out, and this is good news. This is good news for the Knicks. You know, Cat's been around the block. We know what he could do, and this is why a lot of us, like, you know, with all the trade talk, you know, most people is like, no, we're keeping Cat. We're willing to part ways with other people, but not Cat, because we know what he's capable of. He has a body of work that we know. He's been in the NBA for over 10 years. So it's good to see him pick it up, and it's good to see him, you know, pick at the right time. Hopefully that continues for the rest of the season. And it's the chances are slim right now that we gel and work around that, but, you know, keep hope. Hopefully that could still happen with 20 some odd games left.
Keeping hope alive. I hear you.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Anybody else want to add anything?
Hold on, let me see. Okay, yeah, I got that text from David Smith. He says, okay, I could talk about Cat. So got that text.
Leave David alone. That's our guy. Come on.
I was checking the chat, see if I saw him. So it's a go. It's a go. I'm gonna say it like this, and call me the Debbie Downer or whatever it may be. To me, he's moved up from a D, from his performance, to a B. So I'm not overly crazed about it. He's doing better, that point. But this is what we paid him for. We paid him to be an A+ player, and right now he's still, to me, he's brought it up. So, because to me, the point of his offense and his defense for quite a long time, to me, was so low that now that he's brought it back to somewhat efficient, to where, to me, where he's at a B level now, you know, everybody else now, you see it as, oh, okay, yeah, you know, Cat's doing his thing. But to me, I'm still waiting for the superstar point of which we're paying him for, to be that player. That's just where I'm at with it.
When you think about where he played last season, where was that? Was that superstar? Was that A+?
I thought he was an A. I thought he was an A in the playoff contention points, but I wouldn't give him the actual superstar status. And that still, you know what I mean, climbs to the can he keep his hands clean? You know, that's mostly what hurts us a lot of times, is him. Cat beats Cat. It's not a lot of players that are beating him or taking him out. It's Cat is beating Cat. So if Cat can get out of Cat's way, and Cat's an A+ player, what to do that on a consistent basis here, it's been, you know, especially with this new system, it's been up, down, up, down, up, down. But that's not what we pay for. You know what I mean? As when we brought him here, we were looking for, as far as a solid A1 player, somebody that we would always, you know, look to and say, oh yeah, this guy is hitting his shots out here. This guy's getting these rebounds. You know, we didn't pay for this inconsistency and this lack of up and down. We can call it a lot of things, like, you know, like saying the last game he had 5 shots, but Cat had the ball more times in his hand than that. What he chose to do with it, that's a whole nother matter. So, you know, do I think the way, I don't want to go too far with it, but do I think the way his coach calling him out and asking him, should he, you know, ask him? I thought that was a, you know, Bush League move, but Cat has to do it, but he has to answer for things like that. So I can't just give him, superstar status.
I don't think if the expectation is that Cat is going to play better than he played last year, I just don't think that's him. I just don't think that's him. I last year I thought he was phenomenal. He had one of the best seasons of his career, actually. I'm not sure we're gonna get much better than that.
If he was a sliver below that, I don't think any of us would have a problem. But he's dramatically below that.
No, I
From where he
no,
was. Yeah.
I get that. But when I asked you, you were saying even last year wouldn't be, wouldn't be it. I don't, I
Well,
don't,
I
I
gave
don't
him an
think we're gonna
A.
get.
I did give him an A though.
Yeah, no,
But
you did. But you said that we was paying him for even more than that, and I was just making a point. I
yes.
don't think we're gonna get more than what we got from him last year. That's just not, um, that's just
But
not him.
But the thing about it is, we all know that he's capable of
I
being
don't
better
think
than
so.
even was last year. I think he
I don't
is.
think so.
I think
I
so.
don't think
Yeah,
he's
I think so.
from
I
last.
think he is.
That was his best. Like that was his best year. Like I'm not sure.
Offensively, it was his best year. But he
Right.
had so much room for defensive improvement and things like that.
But that's
That
not
you know what I
him.
mean. Getting them, well,
I hear what you're saying. That's not him, and it's never been him. And it's never been him. Like there's some players that's just not them. Harden never been. Like there's some play like that's just never been their game. Can they get Booker, Curry, and they've gotten better, you know, but that's just not their game. I don't think Cat is a two-way player. I think if he could just be a little better, like to Ajay's point, which he's been uh, over the past week and in the playoffs, we've seen him kind of step it up. But Cat living at that level, I don't know. I think that's a tall order. What do you think, Jeff Delusional?
Well, I don't know. I'm not down on Towns at all. Like I really think it's a lot of hand wringing about nothing. I think that if you look at the advanced metrics for the last month or so of the season, especially, he's been our best player, and it hasn't been close. Like so, I mean, I think that
Yes.
we kind of. And maybe he's guilty of his own expectations. I'm not sure what. I do think that our head coach doesn't really utilize him to maximize what he's doing, and that's a choice. But I think that his rebounding is as good as it's ever been. I think he's engaged. I think he's being a good soldier. I think he's trying to play the role in the system that he's given, and we may not always agree with that role, but I mean, you're supposed to do what the coach tells you to do, right? And so I think that the thumb line for the show has it correct. It's like Cat and Brown need to figure it out and get on the same page, and so and as far as it goes, Towns has played fine. He and the Knicks have been pretty good. It's not like we're 25 and 32 or something like that. We have 37 wins. That was an entire season. Do we want more? Absolutely, but I don't think you can lay all of our struggles at Towns' feet. I don't think that's fair at all. And I think that Cat is, Knick fans have a tendency to scapegoat, and we did it with Ewing and we did it with Randall, and now we're doing it with Towns. And, the grass is not always greener on the other side, guys. Like there are not many 2010 guys in the league that are as consistent as he is. And so, he's frustrating sometimes. Does he commit too many offensive fouls? Absolutely. I think he's getting picked on in that regard a little bit more than is maybe even fair. But I don't know. I don't know that I'm overly concerned with it. I mean, and Sherwin, you can say what you want about the eyes, but the data is the data. Like if the eyes don't match, if your eyes don't match the data, then That's not on me. That's on how you're seeing the game, and that means that maybe your lenses need to be corrected. No disrespect meant, Sherwin. You're a great participant to the show, but I don't think you're being very fair to me when the numbers say one thing and you're saying that your eye test says something different. Well, the numbers are the numbers. Like, that doesn't have anything to do with anything else.
And the Knicks are +10 on the season. I think John Macri, is it John Macri? I'll just say Macri.
Yeah, Jonathan
You
Macri.
know,
John
John
Macri.
Macri. Okay, I think
Mhm.
he put a post on X. The Knicks are +10 in when Cat is on the floor, or something to that sort. And yeah. I mean, I think from the eye test, we're looking for him to be dominant. We're looking for him to be who he's been over the past year and over the past week. We're looking for more of that, and I think more of that is coming. I really do. But you don't have to score to impact winning, and that I think that's what the advanced metrics are showing, that from, or at least over the past month, he's been the best Nick. Um, you know, I'm not even sure I'm not even sure it's close. Um, but this gets to one of the questions that I had, two-part question. Do our chances of getting to the NBA finals hinge on Cat performance? And if so, how confident are you that he's leveling up? And whether that's confidence in Cat, confidence in the system. One, do you believe our chances hinges on that? And how confident are you that it'll happen? Um, Jeff,
Well, first of all, I think that this team has
two
an
two
extraordinary.
minute minutes answers for
Yes,
all of us.
yes, ma'am. I'm on the clock.
Mhm.
I'm on the clock. So a couple things. First of all, I think this team has an incredibly high ceiling. I think the potential of this team is through the roof. But at the same time, I kind of am skeptical that we're going to approach that ceiling with the way that we're playing now and with how players are being misutilized, in my opinion, right now. And so I think that I think that the Knicks could. Do I think they will? No. I think that Towns is the key piece. I think unlocking him and making him more of a centerpiece is the look when we need he and Brunson to be at their level best. And so if we have them at their level best, then everybody else the tide will carry the rest of the players with them. But if you're talking about one of your top 2 players and one of the top 20 players in the league is not producing at a level commensurate with that station, then yeah, we're not going to reach our full potential. So that's
Are you
kind of how.
confident though? Are you confident that we'll figure it out as far as Cat is
Not
concerned
really,
and reached? Wow.
not
And
really.
are you not confident because of Cat, the schemes, the coach, the lineups, or a little bit of,
Yes,
or all of it? Okay.
all of it. All I think, in other words, and my reason I said is if it's one or two of those things, if I felt like it was just one of those things, I think that's easy to focus on. But I kind of think that it's kind of everything, and I'm not sure that his teammates trust him enough, and that to me is the biggest issue. Like if they're going to continue to look him off and not pass him the ball and not trust him, and he's not going to do enough to earn that trust because it's a two-way street, right? Then I think we have a problem, and I think that's why we've seen teams like Boston and Detroit ahead of us is because they play more together than our team does.
Yeah, delusional. Your thoughts? Do you think our chances getting to the finals hinge on Cat? I mean, we know what Brunson is going to do. He's a playoff riser. I'd be surprised in the playoffs if he doesn't show up. Do you think it hinges on Cat, and how confident are you that he'll be that?
No, I definitely do think he's pretty much our second best player on the team, and the offense kind of run through him. With the initial setup, the dribble handoffs, and like Jeff said, a lot of the guys, this offense everyone was initially happy because they felt that they can get their opportunity to get up shots now, and that's the biggest thing. And Cat is the one that's doing the dribble handoff, running pick and rolls, and opening up spots for them, to where he's last on a totem pole to kind of attack or to get his, which is the adjustment situation that they're dealing with now. And I thought coming into this year that he probably would have progressed offensively where he was going to average 28. I really thought that he could have averaged more in the system due to what Brown said. I want to have him on the corners to space and knock down corner 3-point shots. I'm like,
Is that me?
Oh, is that my internet?
No, I mean
no,
I
that's
hear.
we're here. We
Yeah,
can
we're
all hear each other.
Okay. All right. Ajay, until we
So delusional's back.
yeah.
We absolutely 100% depending on Cat to not just be good or okay. He has to be great or even elite at this point for us to even, if we try to accomplish anything. So, um, in my previous statement, I mentioned that I don't think that we have enough time to get it together with 20 some odd games left. Um, I really hate to be the bad news bearer, but we're not right now. The way I see other teams play, we can't compete with them. Not that we don't have talent. We have enough talent, but the team is not cohesive enough to compete with those other teams. Like that's just bottom line. I mean, I was watching what game was on yesterday? The Detroit Pistons against Oklahoma City's G League team, and that thing went down to the wire. And OKC, I call it the G League because I think all their 5 starters are out,
Mm-hmm.
and so you have guys coming off the bench, giving Detroit putting in the work. I mean, these guys had to play until the last second. They were down by like 15 or 13 in the fourth quarter. They came all the way back. Okay, so we just not ready to compete with those kinds of teams.
But you talking overall, we're gonna get to the Knicks overall. I'm specifically talking about
Cat,
do our chances of getting to the finals hinge on Cat?
100%.
And are you confident that that will happen? Why or why not? We are going to talk about the team as a whole.
100% depending on Cat's play. I mean, we're not getting anywhere if he's playing. If he's playing like he's been playing, like with the, with his scoring dropped this season. Okay, we need those points. We need not just those points, but we need Cat to score, to be able to score, so that the other teams understand that they have to keep an eye on that guy, right? Not he's gonna do something foolish with the ball. Let's not pay him any money, right? So we're not. We're not gonna get anywhere without Cat playing great. Okay. Now, am I confident that's gonna happen? I'm not confident, but it's not impossible.
Wow.
It's not impossible, but I'm not confident at this point, this late, because you got to again. I hate to jump onto the other teams. You got to understand where the other teams are. We see where we are because we watch all the games. But every now and then you dip into like the rest of the NBA. You watch some of those games on nights where Knicks are off, and you're like, wow, we're not there. Like I just don't think we have enough time.
Wow, that's the other
Agreed.
question. So we're not there, but you
I
don't think
agree.
we'll be there
I don't
by the
I don't think
okay.
so.
All right. We'll
I
talk
agree.
about that because that kind of dips into the next segment. I agree with all of you. I think we need
Mm-hmm.
Cat to be at his best. I think the only way we could avoid that is if OG and Bridges step up big time. I think if Brunson is Brunson and OG and Bridges step up and they're super consistent throughout the playoffs and Cat is rebounding but he's not scoring, but he's doing all those other things that impact winning, I think we can get by. The reason why I'm emphasizing Cat is because I kind of trust him more than I trust OG and Bridges in the playoffs, and he has struggled this season mightily. I'm not, I'm not discounting counting that. Am I confident? This past week has raised my confidence. This past week has raised my confidence that Cat is coming along. The team is recognizing it. Mike Brown, like Delusional pointed out, running some things for him. He's not always at the top of the key now. He is getting, he's getting looks in the post. One of those games, he took 9 3-pointers. I thought of you, Ajay, when I looked at the box score. And he hit 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, all right, now here we go. Here we go. Because I agree with you guys. We need Cat. And I'm like, he's rounding into shape now. The Knicks ceiling is, is rising now. And, it remains to be seen, but I'm hoping that this 5-shot game was just a one-off. And what we've seen the 2 games before that is who Cat is going to be going forward. And if that's the case, then I'm confident that um, the Knicks can be near their ceiling, because I think it's hard, and I think this is what Ajay was playing with in his take. It's hard to talk about Cat reaching his ceiling or the Knicks reaching their ceiling without talking about Cat, or talking about Cat reaching his ceiling without talking about the Knicks. Like, it's so closely um, intertwined. So let's just move on to the Knicks. The Knicks have been inconsistent, up and down, to say the least. Do you think, though, that as a fan base we're just overreacting, and this up and down, this inconsistency is just part of the process of a new coach, part of the process of becoming a championship team? You have to go through the fire somewhat, or do you think, nah, Steph, that ain't it? Something else is going on with this team, and it's concerning. Nick. Oh, wait, before we get marinate on that question, I want to get to the to the super chat. The art man, formerly known as Steve, can someone let Delusional in? Appreciate you always rocking with us. Evening, y'all. We want the 2-3 seed. On the other hand, we need these guys gelling. We're gonna have to sacrifice the rest of the season. Playoffs, finals, and championship are the goals. Otherwise, they would have kept Tibbs. That's definitely the goal. Dolan said that when he fired Thibodeau, that the very next season with a new coach, his expectation is still that the Knicks get to the NBA, finals. I think that's a lot, in my personal opinion. But yeah. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Um, Delusional is back. The Knicks have been inconsistent, up and down, to say the least. Is this just part of the process? The new coach going through the fire as a champ, because this is championship contention is a process in and of itself, right? So, is this just part of the Knicks going through that contending process also, or do you think it's something else is going on? Delusional, part of the process, or something else?
It's a little bit of both, because it's definitely part of the process. As far as, like you said, everyone is getting used to the system, everyone is getting used to the coaches. Because I felt like, even though it's still the same team, but we brought in an offensive coach, we brought in a defensive coach to kind of separate it, and then of course you have Mike Woodson, the overall head coach, that's kind of manning everything. So now you have multiple voices that we're hearing this year, rather than last year just prominently Tibbs. So that changes certain things. So that's everyone that's communicating need to be on one accord on what we're doing. So that's something that they're trying to get adjust to. And then the system that they brought over, it's really catered to shooting. Everything is generating shooting, right? So your players need to be legit great shooters. Whether it's off the catch, whether it's dribble penetration and then spread out, you need players to create that aspect, not just one person doing that. And I think the personnel kind of don't fit the system from my perspective. I think that's the key thing. And then, of course, when Coach came, your two main players, the system should bend to them as far as like their stronghold, right? Not okay, we have Cat, now we need to force him into doing something that he probably didn't do his whole career. So that's the aspect to where it's just like, okay, it's not working. But I would say this though, that learning from Mike Brown, a lot of the stuff is analytical as far as this is data that they're collecting to go forth into when it's game time and when it's playoff time, that they can say, hey, look, this is what we learned. This is possibly how we could combat it. Everything now is data collection. I truly believe, because when I look at what they did under Golden State, there were certain games that they like, yo, they could have won that game. Why did they sit half of their players in the fourth quarter? Right? A lot of that stuff was implemented under Steve Kerr that Brown was under, but then playoff time come and then it's like it's a whole different script. Mind you, different team, different talent. But I think similar mindset. It's just this is all data collection. We'll turn it up eventually once we get going, because remember, we're a great second half team, and we've seen the adjustments from the first half to the second, right? So then it's like, and then you see other games where it's like, wait, why do we didn't adjust at all? So it's definitely the inconsistency on that, but I believe it might be a purpose behind it. It could be the delusional aspect in me, but which is why I'm calming myself down now. I'm not jumping over the bridge like I was early in the year when I see us losing a couple of these games, because you see Knicks will have, I believe we have the most 40-point quarters in the league. Right? That's something to be had. Like, how come the offense could be moving and grooving during that time period, and then there's other times where we just look like we don't even know what the offense is. Then we see a game where, most of the team will sit, and we had Cat out there. I think Cat dropped 40 that game in the same system, but he's just getting more touches. Then, of course, he's performing better now when the trade deadline is done, and now his mental is like, I'm with the team. So it's a lot surrounding this team where it can hinder us. But I think when playoff time and it's like it's time to focus, because this is what the end goal is, I think it's a total different team, I believe.
Yeah. I was trying to find the comment, you know, David Elbai, I appreciate you rocking with us. Knicks are playing possum. Remember, I called it here. I think that's just I don't think you're saying delusional that they're playing possum, but
But yes,
that they are prioritizing collecting data, and that means they may lose some games in the process. Is that fair?
correct. And like you said, this year, a lot of the talk hasn't really been about regular season. It's been about championships, right? This is what they talk about: championship. So it could be the concept is get us to the playoffs, right? Everyone is healthy. This is what we've prepared ourselves to, and let's turn up the gear. Now, certain people can't do that, can't flip the script. We know Brunson can. We've seen that happen. We've seen certain players do that. Let's just see if it can happen.
That's fair, but don't you think it's risky though? Because continuity matters. Kind of doing the same thing over and over, running your sets against different teams, making those adjustments because teams play differently. Making those adjustments. Do you think it's kind of a gamble because it's kind of sacrificing that, and we've seen that,
No,
so far.
you're 100% correct, 100%. But another thing that I saw was when Alvarado came and he spoke with Brunson, like, yo, how do you want the ball? How's the offense and stuff like that? And he wanted to sit there and tell him, like, yo, our offense is simple. But then he's like, our offense is, you'll get it. So it's like, it's a symptomatic offense that they really do. I don't think it's really complicated. And that could be the issue, is that our sets are not as clean and crisp and prominent when we have other players come in. But I think we'll be good. As long as we avert Detroit, I think we'll be fine until the Eastern Conference Finals.
Wow. Listen, and Nick Nation, will go to you next. The Knicks, we've seen them play near their ceiling, right? Um, they haven't been consistent, right? But we've kind of got a glimpse of what their ceiling could be. Do you think they'll reach there by the end of the season? Do you think what we're seeing now is just part of the process, and they'll get there by season's end, or do you think that something else is going on here?
They'll get there.
Yeah.
They'll
No,
get
that was for Nick Nation. But
Oh, I'm
yeah,
sorry.
that's fine. That's fine.
Okay. Do I think they'll get there? No. I don't think we'll get
I knew that
to.
was coming.
Yeah, no.
Keeping it
Nah.
real.
I'm gonna keep it a buck. Do I think we'll get to that? You know, what I mean, if you're asking the question, do I think we'll get to the height of where our guys are comfortable enough to go into the playoffs and on a blind's eye know where their man is, know what's happening in that system, and being able to, go through adversity on it? No,
Mhm.
because I look at it like this: if we're at what game? Are we at game 60 yet? You know what I
Close
mean?
to it. We
Right,
are.
or at that stage, right? And again,
Well,
at game 60, if you don't know, if you're not concrete what your role is by game 60, if we're still trying to figure it out, and as we know from our play, we are still trying to figure it out. If we're at this point of the stage at game 60 where we've just figured out, hey, maybe Cat should be down in the post area. You know what I mean? Hey, maybe Brunson should be passing earlier out of that double team. Things like that. I just don't see it because we need to be on an accord now already, and you know what I mean, processing this information, that data. You know what I mean? Those things need to be happening now, like not us trying to still get to a point. I think off of talent that we will get to a degree, but then I think that overall there will be some kind of schemes or certain other things that we won't be able to counter that will hurt us because we're just not secure enough. And I don't blame that on a particular player. I blame that on the organization because I think between the coach, the organization, the players, certain areas he's been set up for failure, I believe as well. Not that I'm avoiding Mike of all his, what he's done, but I just don't think that, I don't think that he has enough cachet to deal with the pressure that comes, into New York, especially particularly with, they just dropped him right in hot grease. Like, hey, you're coming in here, you need to get a championship right off the bat. I think they set him up for a point of failure in that. I think there's too much stress that comes with that. I think you make blind mistakes. I think you hurry certain personnel along. I don't think that there's cohesiveness. There's a lot of flaws. I definitely think there's some issues going on in the locker room. What they may be, I don't know. But it's just a lot of inconsistency. And that inconsistency at this late stage of the era should not be. I think there should have been a permanent stamp put on personnel, time to coming in, time to going out, when these guys go in, what you're looking to do with them and what you're not looking to do with them. It's just, I don't know. I just don't feel confident in Mike. I'll just say it in the organization's decisions of how they made these decisions right now, to say, hey, Mike Brown, get these guys in here, get those guys in here. Because Mike Brown on some of these issues, I think that Mike was caught in between a rock and a hard place. And I think that he's tried to satisfy some points of his players, some points of the organization. Then you got new people coming in. I think he's trying to, squeeze and dice them in. And I think it's just too much. And then to emphasize that, hey, you're supposed to have a, championship, you know, and I just think it's difficult as it is. And then when there's a mountain of political pressure that comes here on this job, and if you don't have that clout and that cachet and that strength and that swag to deal with it, I think you get ate up here. I think there were certain things I have to give Tibbs. Tibbs could handle that point of that pressure, I believe. I just don't think that you know what I mean, the basis points of certain points of how he coached, I wasn't in love with, or how he did things I wasn't in love with. But I definitely know that this New York vibe he can handle. I'm not sure if Mike can handle it.
Wow, that you said a lot there. You said a lot there, and I actually agree with you in terms of the organization on multiple fronts. One, we have two coaches who had difficulty getting the most out of this team offensively, right? We said that with Tibbs. There's more on the bone. We're not getting as much as we can out of this offense. The offense is vanilla. We're kind of saying the similar things, about Mike Brown. Cat with Thibodeau, you got to do a better job getting your two best players to play together better, and that's what Mike Brown was supposed to do. He's having difficulty with that as well. At some point, you have to start to question: is it the coach or is it the roster? Maybe on paper it looks like they should mesh, but we had two coaches trying to make it mesh, and it hasn't. Right? How much of it is roster construction? We talk about the lineups. I complain about the lineups as well. Um, but again, the coaches are working with the full picture. Maybe they feel like I have to have these brick lineups out here because we got to get stops. And when I optimize for defense, our offense is not great. When I optimize for, I wouldn't say great. Well, it depends. Some of these lineups, yes, it's not great. If you're going to put in Mitch, Sohan, Hart, like the all brick team. But when I try to optimize for offense, our defense, falls up a little bit. So maybe there are some roster construction issues. Also, about the politics of it, we all thought, and if I could speak, if you guys disagree, let me know, that if Tibbs was going to be fired, he was going to be fired for lack of performance in the playoffs, right? For lineup issues, for basketball related reasons, right? But when you heard Dolan talk, it basically came down to the fact that he didn't get along with the front office. Like they weren't, that he wasn't collaborative enough. I don't even think it was the basketball reasons for them. I think it was more the fact that, they weren't communicating. He wasn't listening to them. And maybe this is the rock and the hard place that you're talking about with Mike Brown, where Thibodeau was like, I'm not listening to y'all cats trying to tell me about basketball and who I should be playing and what have you. I'm not going to do it. All right, well, you out of here. And now Mike Brown might be thinking some of the same things, but that the collaboration, that probably was number one when he came in. They probably, before they even talked about basketball and things like that, they talked about collaboration. So I don't know if that's what you were referring to, but that's what comes up for
100%.
me in terms of the rock and the hard place. The front office wants me to develop. The front office wants me to keep minutes down. The front office wants me, and all legitimate points from a front office. And if I had my druthers, and you want me to get to the finals this year,
Bingo.
if I had if you left it to me, I want the most vet heavy team I can get because the mandate is to get to the finals now. And there's going to be some games for positioning where I'm going to have to play guys a little more minutes and what have you, because getting the best seed might be, it might be an easier path for us. But I got to factor in development. I got to factor in minutes. I got to factor in all these other things. Because if you think about it, Mike Brown, I don't know if he would be doing the things that he's doing if it was all 100% his decision. So that is a great, great point, Nick Nation. And we don't talk about the front office enough, other than the heat praise on them when things are going well. But I thought that was a great, great point. Anybody want to piggyback off of any of that?
Well, I just want to say one thing about playing possum. I live in the country, and possums get hit with shovels and shot with 22. Not always a good idea to play possum.
That's funny.
Oh boy. Um, yeah, I don't. I'm still holding out hope. I still believe that the Knicks have. I've seen glimpses of the Knicks at their ceiling this season. I've seen it, and I'm holding out hope that they can still be that on a more consistent basis by the playoffs time. By playoffs, I think some of that hinges on Cat, and when I say Cat, I don't mean just Cat himself, but the whole Cat dynamic. Cat himself, the team's looking for him, schematics. That's what I mean when I say Cat, like the whole Cat dynamic. I think it hinges on that. Um, I also think it hinges on, Brunson too. I don't think Brunson is 100% comfortable in this system or sold on this system. One or the other. He doesn't. He's being asked to play different, and I get that. And I don't want him to revert back to last year's Brunson, where he was just so ball dominant. But watching him, at least over the past since the All-Star break, he's not looking like him. Um, Thoughts on Brunson this season over the past, since the All-Star break, and do you think his play is at its ceiling? Ajay, and then we'll get to you, Jeff.
Let's
That's
just
fine.
say, he's not making All NBA this season. I don't think. So that tells you what I see in terms of his play. He, at the end of last season, especially. Um, so last season was the first season with Cat, the first full season with OG. Mikal Bridges. So you figure by this season, um, you'd see a lot of improvement. Not just in Brunson, but with the team as a whole. And that hasn't happened. At best, they're the same as they were last season. And I don't even know if I could say, and I'm saying at best on some nights. So if in this NBA world, if you can't just stay idle, is you either moving forward or backwards. If you stay idle, it's like moving backwards because everybody else is moving forward. Everybody else is improving. Look at Detroit Pistons from, just 3 years ago, they were the worst team in the league, like breaking records for consecutive losses in a row, right? And hey, they are the team with the best record in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's moving. So if you're not improving, if you're not finding a way to improve, you're literally moving backwards. Jalen Brunson, he's an all-star. He's one of the best players in the NBA, but he didn't improve from last year. He's literally, and especially with the team he's got now, you really expect a lot of the things that people complain about him that he do, which I don't have a problem with, but all the people who watch the game, other fans, they think he should be passing more. He should, find a way to get his teammates involved more. He didn't develop in that sense. That just hasn't. That just didn't happen this season. And then, the footwork is excellent, but rest assured, the team is watching you, right? And they're adjusting to your game. Okay, so if that's the only bag you have, and you had that for 3 years, by now people are going to figure out how to slow you down. They're not going to stop you, but they're going to slow you down. So something needs to be done with his play, with his teammates, so we could have better results in them. Okay, so overall, like I said, if you ain't moving forward, you're falling back.
Okay. What do you make of the fact that there have been times that this team has really there's been games and small stretches where the team has looked like championship contenders, where the offense was clicking, Brunson is playing well, the balance was there, The other players were coming through. The defense has been really, really solid.
Queen,
Yes,
I,
yes.
I'm going to answer your question, right? They're
Go
NBA
ahead.
players. They're professional players. Okay, all these guys, everybody in the NBA is an excellent basketball player. Make no mistake about it. So on any given night, any team could look like a championship team, including the Pacers. Right now, you'd watch a Pacer game, and be like, how is this team last in the league? Because on any given night, I mean, these guys, they can play. Okay, so you're not going to win a championship by playing, a couple of good games. You have to be great and consistent. And this is one of the reasons why I say I don't think we have time to get it together. You look teams like Detroit Pistons, who they've been getting it together all season. You're not going to all of a sudden wake up and then be better than them. Yeah, you win 1 or 2 games, but you're not going to beat them 4 out of 7. That's just not going to happen. If everybody's healthy and they doing consistently what they've been doing all season long, and then you're gonna come and try to do something you've been doing for the last month, you're not gonna beat them because everybody's great. Everybody's a professional athlete in this league. So why do they look on some nights that they can play? Because they can play. They can play, but they need to be consistent. They need to get in. They need to have a system where they're like a well-oiled machine where they could do something over and over and over and over, and then they become great at it. You're not just gonna wake up one day and all of a sudden be good consistently. Yeah, you'll have a good game here and there. You have a nice stretch here and there, but you're not gonna be good enough to, beat everybody in the play. I just don't see that happening.
Do you think you might be putting too much on the regular season? Because we've seen teams blast through the regular season and go out early in the playoffs, and we've seen teams like Indiana struggle in the regular season, um, taking a while to get to play the way they want to play, and then get to the playoffs and take off. Do you think you might be calling it just a little too early that the Knicks absolutely cannot beat Detroit?
There are very few occasions where teams this late in the season were inconsistent and then go far into the playoffs. The Pacers, they picked it up right after they picked it up early, like the beginning of the year last season. So they had like a good stretch to get their stuff together to develop what they needed to develop. Listen, anything's possible. Again, this is the NBA. These are all professional players, right? But chances are it just won't work out that way. Because you got to remember, you moving up, but so are the other teams. Like everybody's moving up. So whoever's ahead, they're already ahead. They're not going to fall behind unless something drastic happens, right? And it's a lot of things could happen. Listen, playoff positioning, and somebody mentioned in the chat, we're not making it to the final unless somebody beat the Pistons. You never know. Depending on where we fall, Boston might go beat the Pistons, and then we probably could beat Boston. It depends on where the chips fall. But right now, it looks like all roads to the final leads to the Detroit Pistons. And Detroit Pistons not our only problem. I mean, with our inconsistencies, I don't know if can we beat Boston. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you look at talent. We probably have more talent than all those teams, but they're playing better team ball than we are.
And I think that's why I remain hopeful, is because the talent is there. This is a team that went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They know what the playoffs is about. I think they're being asked to play in a totally different way. I question Mike Brown wanting this team to play with pace, and pace is more than fast break basketball, right? But he also wants them to push it, like really, push it down the court. I'm not sure how much that fits with his two best players. And wait, hold on. I wonder if some of the inconsistencies we're seeing is they just can't play that way consistently because it's just against the grain. It's not something that's second nature to them. I wonder if that's what's leading to some of the inconsistencies, and would we be a little better off playing in a way that matches your two best players? Would we be further along by now?
Well, I was gonna say something real quick, right?
Yes.
Even with even with the way he wants to play Mike Brown, right? Sometimes we do that and we're successful, and sometimes we do that and we're not successful because our guys are inconsistent, right? So sometimes Josh Hart would grab a rebound and he goes all the way. Sometimes he'll go and then at the last minute decide to throw the ball away, right? Like he'd get to the basket and then instead of going up for it, he'll jump in the air and try to find somebody in that split second that he's up there. And that happens a lot, not once or twice. It's happened a lot. Like we in the last game, I don't know how many crazy turnovers we saw. I mean, these guys, or sometimes Josh Hart, he will get a wide open shot. He takes the shot, make or miss. More often than not, like he's been shooting pretty good from three. And then all of a sudden, the same shot he'll get, 2 possessions later, he doesn't take the shot and drive into the teeth of the defense and then throws the ball away. So the players themselves are inconsistent in their decision making, in their positioning on the floor. It'd be the same play again, and they'll do something completely different. That worked the first time, and then this time it doesn't work because they all of a sudden decide to do something different. And that's I don't understand. I don't know if that's the coach, if that's the players, if that's a lack of confidence in the system. I don't know. And there are too many unknowns and too many things you look at. Too many plays where you're like, what the hell was that? Like too many of those for a team to be a championship team at this late in the season.
Yeah. I will tell you as a fan base, like if we would have had this show a week ago after
The Rockets
game, maybe the Rockets game, but we were down 18 and came back. But you could pick the Rockets game, but there was another game I think maybe right before the All-Star break. I don't remember. We was riding high. If we would have had this same show at that time, we would have been talking about the Knicks rounding into shape. Like how the narrative it's just interesting to me doing these shows, how the narrative changes based on the certain stretch that the Knicks are on. Right? We're on a good stretch. Oh, I can see it. We have a bad game. This is the worst team ever, then they need to just start tearing it down because we're not going anywhere. It's just interesting. It's just something that I've noticed over the course of doing this, but particularly over the course of this season because it's been a roller coaster season. I would say, agree or disagree, that the Knicks have had just as many good stretches as bad stretches, no? Or would you? Or I mean, it would have to be for them to be third in the Eastern Conference by just a half a game, and won. What are we? 30. What are we?
37 and
37
22.
and 22. Right? I would think we've had more good games than bad games, more good stretches than bad stretches. No.
Correct. Yep.
When you
Totally.
consider we went 2-9 on one stretch, you definitely have to say that's true, right? Because that's almost half of our losses in a nutshell. So, right, I think you're 100% accurate as far as that assessment is concerned.
Do you
we
think
got a
this
fast
last
start.
game is?
Like I say, I'm right most of the time when I say the Knicks. I'm right most of the time when I say they're gonna win.
Yeah. Do you think that last loss is coloring our perspective a bit, or are you looking at the entirety of the season when we're talking about them reaching their ceilings by the playoffs? Jeff?
Well, I kind of thought we were going to lose the Cleveland game anyway, so I'm definitely not basing it on what we saw on the road against them. I thought, and especially since I think, there were a lot of problems in that game, but I think shot variance was a big part of that, and turnovers being the other major problem. I don't think we're going to have too many quarters over the course of a season that we shoot 3 for 24 and 1 for 12 from 3. If you want to attribute that to amazing Cleveland defense, you're more than within your right. I thought we got a lot of good looks at the basket and we didn't make them. And, for whatever reason. So, not to 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 say that I say that, but at the same time, I really think that there are flaws in this team and cracks in the armor, if you will, that I'm not sure that we are equipped to address to win a championship. And time will tell, obviously. But one thing to be encouraged about is I think that Towns is a playoff riser. I think Brunson is definitely a playoff riser, and so I think that when push comes to shove, we've seen that Mike Brown is going to kind of tighten up the rotation, and I think that will help as well. But I also think, and this maybe I'm borrowing Delusional's hat for a minute here, I think not having Deuce McBride is hurts our team. Like, I think he brings a lot of versatility. I think he brings a lot in terms of point of attack defense. I think he's a very good 3-point shooter. I would certainly feel more comfortable with him than Landry Shamet in those, Bam Bam lineups that we tend to. I mean, I want to get rid of that altogether anyway, but I do think that the absence of McBride is a factor in how we're playing as well. Because I think he's a really good rotation player, and he provides us with a lot of depth and a lot of things that help this team go.
Really quick, Jeff, could I ask you why you thought that we were going to lose that game against Cleveland? Like, what?
Yeah, I wanted to know that same thing.
I it's just a feeling. I don't know if it was even basketball reasons. I just kind of, they didn't play. They lost to the ghost of Oklahoma City I think the night before or 2 nights ago, and I knew that we were going to get a really good effort from them. I think that James Harden unlocks Jarrett Allen in a way that makes them more effective than we've really seen before. Right. And so I just and we were on the road. I think the last 2 times we played Cleveland was in our house. And if you'll remember, then the Christmas Day game, we had an 18-point fourth quarter miracle in that game too. So they really outplayed us for a good portion of that game as well. So I just, based on all of those things, I just kind of had a feeling that, that it wasn't going to end well for us. And maybe that's just my PTSD talking. I don't know. I tend to, I think we're going to lose more than most of the people on this panel from a game to game basis. But I kind of figured that we were going to get the Cavs' best punch, and they were at home. And this team doesn't really get up for those games. We just treat every regular season game like it's a regular season game. They don't get high, they don't get low. They're just like, okay, it's another game. And we've seen that hurt us against Detroit. The Pacers, the Pacers treated that like it was game 7 of the NBA finals, and they ended up beating us in overtime. And then I don't think they've won a game since, and so, this is a team that just kind of goes, and I think that's part of the frustration. We don't see them get high or low, but we just kind of see them stay the same. And sometimes the same is good enough, and sometimes the same is not good enough. And when it's not good enough, a lot of times it looks really bad. And when it's good enough, sometimes it looks really, really good.
Yeah, I will say this about Deuce, not taking anything away from him, but the Knicks went on a really, really good stretch of winning games without Deuce. The Knicks were like 8-2, 9-1, 7, like a good stretch without Deuce. Can we use Deuce? Absolutely, no doubt about it. But I don't know if I could say that we lost to Cleveland because we didn't have Deuce, or we lost to because we didn't have Deuce. Could he have helped? Absolutely. But the Knicks were playing some of their best basketball without Deuce. Yeah. So when he comes back, we can definitely use him. Don't get me wrong. And Mike Brown would have definitely had more options. Definitely could have hit some big shots from us in some of these tough games. I'm not taking anything away. But I don't know if I want to. I don't know, Jeff. I don't know about that one.
It's not the only reason. Like, not. Like, I'm not saying that it's just because. I'm just saying that it's just, you asked, well, what are the things I think about? Those are some of the things I think about, and I don't really buy the size narrative, though. I think we've beaten teams that have size consistently. Like we beat the Celtics in the playoffs. They have size. We beat the Cavs twice this year. They have size. We beat the Rockets, who have length and size, just like a game ago. So I think that the size narrative is a little bit overblown.
I
I
think
don't.
so too. Especially going through, there was the same narrative last season, right, Jeff? Going into
Yeah,
the
yeah.
playoffs, and we won. I mean, we didn't get to the finals. Don't get me wrong, but we beat teams that were bigger than us. So I don't. Would I like the Knicks to have more size? Yes. Do I see possessions where size was a factor? Yes. But I'm not going to say the Knicks can't win because of size. The Knicks are one of the best rebounding teams in the league, despite their size. So I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but we beat Boston last year. We beat Detroit last year. And if we lose to them this year, I'm not going to blame it on size. Like, oh, we
That's
beat them
what I'm saying.
last year, but we lost to them this year was strictly because of size. Yeah. Okay. Um, let's get to the chat and then we'll finish up um the conversation. McBride better than Jose. Come on now, just don't say nothing at all with a comment like that. Well, I mean, to me they play different positions. So um I think McBride is a better shooter and a more physical defender. I think Jose is a good defender also, but in a different way. And I
Help
think
people.
yeah, and I think Jose, when it comes to running a basketball team, he's just better than McBride. You could see it, and he can run an offense like Brunson can truly play off ball, and that offense runs. He knows how to get people into their spots. You see him directing traffic. You see him clearing people out and telling Cat to move over. He's a floor general, but they're just different players. They're just different for the point guard position. I would prefer Jose over McBride behind Brunson. Shooting, I would prefer McBride. Of course, they're just different. They're just different players. Play different positions. All right. Sherwin says Cat or Brunson has to go. I am keeping the better player. Are you of the mindset that we've seen enough of this experiment that those two guys together, that 1-2 punch probably is not going to get us there, or are you still hopeful?
Anyone or
I'll go.
Anyone?
So no, we have. I disagree with that statement that one of them have to go, and the reason is the adjustment they have to make is so minimal. It's actually mind-boggling that they haven't done that. Like because either the pick and roll, the pick and pop, like Cat has something that Bronson could really exploit, but for
Do
some
you think it's Brunson then?
I don't know. It's either Brunson or the coach is telling him, no, that's not what I want you to run. Because it's Cat. He's a good shooter. So pick and pop would work. He could drive it, though. Not my preferred thing from him. I'd rather he don't drive. But he can still do it. Pick and roll would work. He just doesn't roll when he sets a pick. I can't understand it. That plays there. It's there every time. Every time it's there. They don't use it. So I don't think we have to trade one of them. I think they just have to make the slight adjustment.
But if it's so slight, it's been 2 years. Anyone else?
Well, it's only with Mike Brown, it's only been 1 year, and I don't feel that either one of them have to go. If anybody to me that has to go is McHale, because just overall team wise, McHale just does not work for how this team here and those two players are set up. You need somebody. You need another strong ball handler. You need somebody who can get downhill. You know what I mean? Like if I could describe it, because if it was up to me, immediately in the summer I would move Mikal. I'd bring in somebody like he's an older player, but somebody like DeMar DeRozan, a guy who can get downhill, a mid-range assassin, strong ball handler, strong on offense. We'll miss points of defense, but hey, Mikal's not giving us that anyway right now. So to me, I just think that for 30 something odd million, he does nothing elite. And we need a player in here that kind of complements these guys. And Cat to me, I mean not Cat, but Mikal to me would be the odd guy out. He's going to make too much.
Do you think though that would help the Brunson Cat dynamic though?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Because I think if they
In
have a
what way?
third,
I'm just curious.
I just think that the pressure points on them are so heavily that teams will do a 1-2 on defense because you could swing from a 1 point to a 2. It's when that consistent third party person puts that pressure on you that causes defenses like it's almost like if I could equate it to say a football reference is you could have a great receiver, you could have great running backs, and I could stop both of them. But you know who'll break my back? When that quarterback turns and picks the ball and runs with it. It's little certain points of it. It's that third party point to it that breaks your back. So that's why you've always heard about, people really wanting a dynamic three at times. It's because it's not a coincidence. It's just that third key point to you. When you got to get to that third move, yeah, that makes it a lot harder, specifically if you have a player that can do, can get downhill, can make that tough shot, that where you have to really be conscious of. Our wings right now, trash. And
that was my question. Does it have to be Mikal? Why not OG? Can OG be that?
me personally, I wouldn't say OG because I can still say somewhat that, as a two-way player, that OG is more, I'm going to give him more of that elite status. Even when he's off and things like that. I think we asked him to play too far out of his range, move a little too much to be, to show how really good he is. But I think if you had a true another person here, because we have to make our minds up. Are we going to be I doubt we can be a great balanced team. But a lot of times I think if it is, those guys are great offensive players. So you know what? Let's suit them with somebody with some more. Let's just outscore a lot of times, a lot of people. Where it gets to a point where their defense might be capable enough. But when you combine the two, that's a nightmare. Lack of defense and lack of scoring, yeah, that's a bad combination. And right now, our offense is really on a decline. But it's complicated because it's Mike Brown's system, the type of players in it. It's not a 1, 2, 3, 2 like 1, 2, automatic thing. We still got these guys because like I said to you the other day, is we're running Mike Brown's system, but in a Tibbs pace. That does not work for Mike Brown's system. We see our guys start off go back to this last game. Look at the first 5 minutes. You can see them run that offense and move in motion and do those things, and it looks pretty good. Then all of a sudden, it just bogs and slows down. We still can't get the ball past half court. We still got guys saying, we still there's a lot of personality conflicts and things like that. Could it have to be Cat and what's his name? To me personally, him and Brown don't get along. That's just a personal thing, how I see it. There's little hints in there, words that they say, like Cat the other night just said, hey, last year, our team had more, intuitiveness or this and that. You know what I mean? And that's it. And
more
then,
resilient,
more resilient, more resilient. And then you know what I mean? So that's an indictment on Brown, off the bat. And then secondly, when Brown turns around and says something like, hey, yeah, Cat, ask Cat. You know what I mean? Instead of sitting there and taking that bullet himself and giving a political point of an answer. So it's very, the spaghetti's all mixed up here. So It's hard to say. I'm just gonna tell you like that. It's mixed up. But my point it is, but my main principal point it is that those two have a great point of talent, and let's not get it twisted out there. Cat is a very talented guy, and Brunson wasn't here, but in order for them to win, you need the right ingredients around them and the right point of a system in them. And you need a coach that inspires. I don't think that this coach here inspires. So, but that's a whole nother tangent. So I'll let it go from there. I'm sorry.
That's okay. No, you're fine. Delusional, you wanted to add something?
I kind of agree because I was kind of looking up the stats. But Mikel definitely I think is you need someone that's able to create and get downhill. Someone with handles. For me, I was like but toughness as well. Like a Ben Matherin would have been a player that I think could have fit in that position. Like with Mikel, it feels like he averts from any type of contact. Like any type of contact, and the shots not falling on certain occasions. But then it's like you look overall, I'm like, okay, he's still having a good season, career high in assists. He's still up there in steals, still 50% from the field, below 40 from three. So the stats are there, but then it's like, is there aggression there? Is him being attacking, him even playing solid, great defense is there. So I think, Mikel will definitely, I wouldn't move Cat or Brunson right now. I wouldn't even move Mike Brown, to be honest with you, because like I said, I still think, getting the guys used to the system, letting them build some camaraderie together, we'll see a change in the following years. But like I said, I'm still delusional. I still think we can get to the finals. We just need to avert Detroit. With our current seeding now at the 3rd, we'll play the 6th seed. So we're in the lower tier. Cleveland, we probably have to worry about. Honestly, I think everybody else we could run through. I still think we could run through Detroit because, like you said, they might not even make it. Remember, we were worrying about Cleveland last year, and what happened? Cleveland got bumped in the first round. So
second,
yes, to Indy.
Yeah.
So yeah,
right, yeah. This is what I'll say about Detroit. They have their weaknesses, but can the Knicks exploit it? That's basically what it comes down to, right? They don't have a secondary scorer. They don't have consistent shooters. Cade Cunningham is the head of the snake. Can the Knicks, though, if we were to meet in a 7-game series, can the Knicks cut off the head of the snake? I don't know. He was busting OG up. He's our best, most physical defender, and he was taking him to school. Now, maybe that toenail hadn't fully grown back, so maybe that was part of the issue. But he kind of did that the first time. The other 2 times that we saw Detroit. I'm not sure if he played in both games, but at least one other game we played Detroit, Kate was having his way. So
he missed the second. Cat and OG both missed the second.
Missed the second. Okay, thank you, Jeff. So a team can have weaknesses, but it comes down to, can you exploit it? We'll see.
Can I
Leon
take issue with something Nick Nation said for a minute?
Absolutely.
And with all due respect, he's my guy, but here's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, we're already saying what Cat needs is more touches, right? And so, don't we want a guy who shoots lights out off the ball and doesn't demand touches with the ball, and is also good defensively? Like, to me, Bridges 15-4-4. He shoots it well from 2-point range, and he shoots it well from the corners. He's elite. So to me, that's kind of the ideal player that you would want to have if you're going to have a Brunson and Cat pairing. So I don't think having another high gravity, high volume player is going to help Towns get more touches. I think that's going to make things go the opposite direction. I want to see Towns get the ball more and just have those guys where you can just have them camp out in the corner and drain those shots when they're open and get them. So, is Bridges a perfect player? By no means. Did we pay too much to get him and consider him a finishing piece when he's not? Absolutely, I'm 100% on board with both of those opinions. But I actually think that if you're going to have a pairing that are both ball dominant, Brunson and Towns, or Brunson and even Giannis for that matter, you want a player like Mikal who doesn't demand shots but can knock them down when given the opportunity. You want that kind of guy who doesn't he has the skill but he doesn't necessarily demand it. Is he not aggressive enough for your liking? Sometimes that's a reasonable take. I have no problem with that, but I don't think adding a third ball dominant scoring type is necessarily the way to go with the Brunson Cat combination. Now, if you want to change the combination and get Bridges out of here, okay, I don't have a problem with that. But I think a player like Bridges is actually an ideal fit if you're going to have guys like Towns and Brunson. And I would argue that part of the problem is the overlap between Bridges and OG. I think that they have a skill overlap that sometimes we need a little bit more versatility when it comes there, because I think they really are both, in my opinion, they're both threes, although OG can play the four as well because he's tough and he's strong. But that's just my observation. So I don't know that I necessarily agree with that Mikal take.
It's just that, Jeff, it's the opposite. What you're saying is actually that's the opposite, because if you get a player that teams defensively have to pay attention to, that allows Cat to be more open. It allows Brunson to be more open. But right now, we're getting the effect where defenses can lapse back off of us. They can lapse back off of Mikal. They can lapse back off of Hart. They can lapse back off of OG. But if you get players that where they get that ball and they're able to create and start going downhill and get into the paint, this is Mike Brown's system. So the point of his system is to get better players in there who can dribble and get into that paint. And then, like what he likes to use, that common word, as we all know, spray. We don't have personnel constantly right now that does that. And that's number one. And two, there is nothing right now that Mikal does elite. Nothing.
And I
Well,
would say the
yeah,
shot
go ahead, Lucian.
selections for Mikal, for me, it's my downfall. With the attack in the paint, like I said, that I would want a lot more from Mikal. He's 50% from the mid range, and that's his go-to game. That's his bread and butter. So he almost have to break the system to take those shots. So that's why I'm saying, does he fit within that systematic? We're taking it kind of farther than just the overall. This is like deeper than game kind of concept that we're kind of digging into, which we can kind of see like, okay, this would definitely make that a little bit easier. Like even though I brought up the stats that Mikal is actually a really good player for us, I think it's just those shot selections per se, like the system, like why Landry is looking so good in our system lately is because the system fits him, the catch and shoot, the being aggressive sometimes and attacking, like that fits. So if you had more players similar to that, it'd be perfect. So I don't think it necessarily has to be like a DeMar DeRozan aspect. I don't know if that's kind of sticking to it with a ball dominant, which is why I kind of brought in that Matherin, someone in Indy who was just a bull. Let me attack, let me do that, and I can knock down the open shot. I can defend, but I'm aggressive.
Yeah. I would say it's okay that a player doesn't have an aspect of their game that's elite. There's plenty of players, effective players in the NBA where they don't do anything elite, but they're really good in multiple areas. And I think Mikal Bridges is pretty good in a lot of areas. Um, to me, it's just more about fit. To me, it's just more about having somebody next to Brunson that can handle the ball, has size, and can defend the point of attack. That would just open things up for us a lot on the defensive end. Um, Having that pit bull that can guard those other guards. See, we got Bridges doing it. We got OG doing it with Cade. They're not used to screen navigation. Like that's not really, how they play. So having a guard that can do that would help. Having a guard with a handle that could get into the key. Brunson is really the only one. Now we have Alvarado, thank goodness. But then he comes with a lack of spacing, right? Because he can't hit. He's not a good 3-point shooter. Having somebody else that can really handle the ball, like really handle the ball. So
Right.
Brunson or him, either one of them can bring the ball up. Either one of them can initiate action. That would help our offense a lot. I just think we need somebody else next to Brunson. I don't think
Not a forward with handles in that aspect. You would rather have a guard, not a forward that can create.
because it's not just about creation. It's about being a running action. I mean, I guess if you had like a Durant, like a Durant, I mean, somebody who's a forward that can also, um, where Brunson can truly play off ball. Because even if you have a forward doing that, Brunson is still, he's still on ball unless he's a point forward, like somebody who can initiate. Then I think that would be fine. Um, but yeah, I don't. Yeah.
But we still
Yeah,
3 in
what'd you say?
offensive rating though, guys, and 11th
Yeah,
in
yeah,
defense. So I think
yeah,
we should be good.
Well, what are
yeah,
those
yeah,
numbers over the last month?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
curious. I don't.
yeah.
I don't think we're third in the NBA in offense over the last 4 weeks.
No. Yeah, this is for the
For the
entire
entire
season.
season,
Yeah.
and we were tops in the league for like a month,
Let
and
me
then
see.
once
Last
we got
10
tape on us,
games.
then they started to kind of figure out what they. And actually, they haven't done anything extraordinarily different than last year. They've continued to put the smaller player on Towns, and we ignore the mismatch for reasons that are beyond me.
Yeah, we're 14th in the last 10 games at 114 as
Yes. And can
compared
you
to
look at
the
since January 1st?
January
Since the
1st.
turn, yeah.
That's
Because that
about
was the
right.
same thing with last year's team. The the beginning of the season made those stats look really, really good. But when you looked at it was at a certain point, the drop off was real. Um,
So from
yeah.
January 1st to now, it's given me. Um, Actually, no, just the month of January, I got 112 at 16th.
So
16th.
January was 16th and February was what?
Let me pull up February. February right now, we're at 6 in
Oh,
offensive.
okay.
Actually, hold up. Sorry, that's the record. 12 in
All right. So
offensive rating.
16 and 12. So you would probably say around 13, 14 between the,
Average.
between the two. Um, yeah. All right. Let me, for the love of God, tear down this team. Let's see it in the playoffs. Let's see it in the playoffs. Let's see it for the regular season and the playoffs. Let's get a full assessment of the team. It's really hard to assess a team during a good stretch, through a bad stretch, through an incomplete season. I do think there'll be changes if this team flames out before the Eastern Conference Finals. Would you guys agree with that?
100%.
Oh yeah.
Good old Giannis.
Shh, don't bring me on this.
But can I ask this, right? For everyone that's saying it's a little shaky with these last remaining games, what can happen for you guys for it to change your mind to say, okay, I'm prepared for the playoffs with what these guys are doing?
I'm not as down delusional as Ajay and Nick Nation. I'm not.
Well, I
I'm
know
not
Nick
as down
Nation is
on this
probably
thing.
going to be like, I don't know if it can happen.
You out there with the mother's son getting all the, you know what I mean? Paws getting all the vitamin D. You know what I'm saying? You out here feeling good, eating great. You know what I mean? Getting those real earth, those real Mother Earth vegetables. You know what I mean? I'm over here eating Lucky Charms. You know what I mean?
They're magically delicious, bro.
They're magically delicious, but afterward, that sugar crash just has me angry. So you know what I mean. So blame it on America.
Nick Nation, don't worry. As soon as she land, I'm gonna ask her, hey, how you feel about the Knicks? It'd be a completely different story.
That's after I hand her a Snickers. Here, take this Snickers.
Right.
Yeah. Eat all these chemicals. Tell me how you feel.
I was agitated over one of these games last week. I was so agitated. I forgot which game it was. So yeah, I go up and down as well. But I don't know. I'm just confident. I've seen enough glimpses of this team that 20 some odd more games they can, they can put it together and into the season near their ceiling. I'm still hopeful for that. They have the pieces. We've seen them play better defense for stretches. We've seen a good offense for stretches. And we all know that the playoffs is a totally different season. Now, I'm not saying that you could just go in and flip a switch, but I'm just saying it's just different. It's just different. And we have guys who have played in that atmosphere and they know what it's like. Unfortunately, so does Boston and Cleveland. So we won't have any edge there. Um, but they know what it's about. And I'm really, really interested in seeing this team. And I'm still confident um that we can near our season. It's still good. Listen, the Knicks at their ceiling is still a dogfight, right? Do you think the Knicks at their ceiling, Boston is going to be a pushover, Detroit is going to be a pushover? Even at their ceiling, it's going to be a knockdown, drag out series with either Detroit or Boston, you know? But we got to be near our ceiling to compete. I'm not even talking about winning the series. We have to be near our ceiling to compete with those guys, to Ajay's point, because their chemistry is there, they're solid, and they've been playing this way for a while now, and we're still trying to find our stride. So I'm just talking about to compete and be in the series, we need to be at our ceiling. If we don't find ourselves, we might not get out the second round. Right?
First round. Like,
Wow.
and the reason I say that is every playoffs are like that. Like it's never a cakewalk through the. It's not playing the worst with the Washington Wizards for 15 straight games. Right? Every playoff series is going to be war. Like that's just how it is. And the deeper you go in the playoffs, the more in the trenches you go and the harder that the teams hit you and the more you have to bounce back and all of those kinds of things. So, and I think that the hope, Queen, is that these times of adversity like last night and the 2-9 stretch are the things that are kind of build us, the getting thrown into the fiery furnace, so to speak. And then, the dross gets burnt off and you come out and you rising in your pure gold come playoff time. I think that's the hope. And I think that what I'm hoping for is that the synergy between Brunson and Towns improves, that we find a way to get Towns more shots on a more consistent basis. 17, 18 field goal attempts a game, I don't think is unreasonable by any stretch of the imagination, especially if you're featuring him more, and so those are the kinds of things that I want to see. And I think if we don't see that, then we are going to be disappointed with what we see in the playoffs. If we continue to see games like we saw, where Towns is getting 5 shots or Brunson continues to just dominate the ball all the time, or, some of the things that we've disliked during the stretch. And those things don't happen all the time, right? We have some games where I think we're like 12-4 of our last 16 games or something like that. So it's kind of funny that we're like in a
right.
Dead panic about where this team is, but that's what happens when expectations rise, right? And Ajay says it all the time. Each season is a different entity in and of itself. And in a lot of ways, what happened last year doesn't matter. And we want to sim to the end of the season and get right to the playoffs, but that's not how it works. And sometimes you have to go through the growing pains in the regular season for this particular group to be tested and ready to go come playoff time. And so that, to answer your question, Delusional, that's what I'm looking for. If there's any hope for me, that's where it's going to lie. That's what I'm going to want to see over the course of this really next 10 to 12 games, because I think after this next stretch, I think we've, including the last couple games, we had 9 of 11 on the road, and we have a lot of games like OKC and San Antonio, and then the schedule kind of tapers off quite a bit after that, where we won't have as many. I mean, we could still lose any of those games, but we won't be playing as many elite top of the line teams like we have over the next. I would say until March 15th or so, we're really going to be tested a bunch over this next stretch, and we've got the 4-game West Coast trip, I think, both LA teams. So there's going to be a San Antonio, OKC. So there's a lot in this next stretch here that it's every game that we see. It's not finality, but it shows us how we respond to the better teams in the league, and the more information that we get, the more informed decision that we can make. Now, that doesn't mean that that information is perfect, because we saw that last year. The information last year said we don't belong on the same floor with Boston and even Detroit, and we proved that false in the playoffs. So is it possible? Yes, but all we can do is go on information, regardless of how imperfect it is. Otherwise, we're just talking about dreams and wishes and hopes. We're going to analyze. That's how we've got to see it, in my opinion.
Right. Sherwin, Steph, you can't have a center who doesn't defend. Listen, does Joker defend? And then you're going to say, oh, well, okay, he didn't defend, but A, B, and C happened. So that A, B, and C can happen here too, right? It's always this idea that something can't happen. I just don't get it. You need that rim protection. Well, I mean, if you had, if Brunson could defend the point of attack, if Cat and if OG and Bridges were defending better, how much rim protection do you need? You know what I mean?
Not over helping on everything, like just stay with your guy, and not have the rotation carousel is what I'm calling it. We overhelp on everything. Josh Hart charges into the paint and leaves his guy wide open for 3, and then and then you have this guy get in, and then you get a wide open 3 in the corner. When we're at our worst defensively, it's because we over rotate, and in my opinion, we pack the paint too much.
Yes. My point is, I'm not saying that your center shouldn't defend. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is roster construction and lineups matter. If you have a really good center and he's not a good defender, you can construct the roster in such a way to mitigate that. Now, does that mean that the team won't pick on your center who can't defend? They will. But they pick on Brunson too. Defensively, right? They target him as well defensively, right? But it's okay if your guard can't defend, but the center, who's the last line of defense, has to defend. I mean, come on. Everybody should defend. But I'm not buying into, well, let me ask the panel. Do you agree that if you have a center who can't defend, it's hard to win?
It's harder to win for sure, because you depend on him at times to intimidate, at least, or to anchor the point of defense, because a lot of times your center is really the guy who should be making the calls of where you should be, directing the point of traffic of defense. And that's not Cat's, that's just not his thing. It's like you said, he is who he is at this stage. So there's certain points about that where if he can't do that, and like you say, it is the point about the lineup around him. Do we have a true power forward that that does that kind of thing? We do not. Fortunately, our lineup does not consist of a power forward who is like a guy that's saying, hey, I'm going to take on some of these, the point of a center. OG can do it, but that's not what we ask of him on a consistent basis. He's not just a natural curious rebounder. We have heart for that. But it's the difference is that when you have more of a center and a traditional point of a power forward, the point of an intimidation, that player may know that I can get downhill, but what am I going to do when I get there? So those intimidation point factors, we don't have that there. And the point The issue more so with Cat is not really the point if he can defend it so well. The issue becomes with him is that can he stay out of foul trouble when guys are coming down there at him, and then that becomes more of a problem because then sometimes his IQ, his energy, whatever you want to call it, he does. Then he begins to do that reach and stuff. So if he just stayed out of that more and could stay on the court more, then it's not as much as of a problem. Because as we even seen in the last point of the games, he picked up some fouls, but those fouls were like late in the fourth quarter. But he had went into it, I believe, the fourth quarter with maybe just one foul, or he may have even got it in the fourth. Those things are different. And
His
quickly,
fouls are on the offensive end, though. I don't think he. I mean, he does have the occasional ticky-tack foul on defense, but I think it seems like he gets 2 or 3 calls for, the hook and ladder, as I like to call it, as opposed to, just. I mean, he'll have the occasional boneheaded thing where he, But again, I think a lot of those are away from the basket and not really defending the rim kind of fouls anyway, because he's not a rim protector in the traditional sense by any stretch of the imagination anyway. That's never been his game to begin with. So, I don't think he's
that's what I'm saying. But that's similar to what I'm saying. But it's still, if a guy is coming downhill, sometimes he's got no choice. Sometimes he you know what I mean? Like, hey, when Cade came, he made a business decision to get out the way as opposed to going up and fouling him, which in that case, he probably necessarily needed to foul him. But there are situations like that where your center, that's what you're depending on, the point of your center position to do at times. And that's not who he is. So like you say, it's still some point we know who he is. So it's the circle of personnel that's around him. And we don't have that kind of personnel around him. You know what I mean? OG is what, 6'7"? So, you know what I mean? We don't have just a natural 6'9", 6'10" dude who's a rebounder, who can take, you know what I mean? Look at Beef Stew. Beef Stew can't do any other thing else. But if you run in there and what's name is, that boy's chest is going to be right there waiting for you to say, here, I'm going to stay straight up. I'm going to let you bang into me, but I'm going to take you off of your position. And a lot of times we don't want to, just be honest, we don't want to even put Cat in those situations, because when we do, he's up and out of this court because he will pick up fouls. He's not that kind of guy. So, and to answer Delusional's question real quick, the key would be for me where you stop seeing these long paragraph talks between two guys on the court on a consistent basis, because it happens when we play all the time because they're still trying to figure it out. When you stop seeing that and you just start seeing if a guy say, hey, you make a mistake, and a guy tap him, yeah, my bag, I missed that one. But that's not what we're seeing. We're seeing out long, drawn-out conversations. Why? Because these guys don't know what their point of their job is at times, where they're supposed to be, what positions they're supposed to be in. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we still keep seeing that. So to me, at this stage, we should be fine-tuning, but we're not. We're far from fine-tuning. We're still trying to figure out the GPS, to even where we're going. So sorry about that. That's a little long-winded of me, but sorry. Ajay, to you. Ajay with us? He bounced back.
No, he tried to get his head start on work tomorrow, so he's often doing paperwork.
I got it. No, but I just on to the next.
Yeah. Bob Solo. Okay, go ahead. Yes. I think you're overlooking it. At worst, the team just needs to win 13 games, 3 games over 500.
I guess that's to get to 50 wins.
Okay.
But is 50 wins the 2 seed or is it the 6 seed?
50 wins will possibly still get us the 3rd seed, to be honest.
Possibly. It could be as low but that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's just about 50 wins. It's in relation to what the other teams are doing. And we are literally a half game in front of Cleveland for the 4th spot right now, right. And so, and the other teams aren't that far behind us either. You lose 3 in a row and all of a sudden you could easily be down to 5th, 6th, and I don't think we're in danger of falling into play-in territory. But, if you're talking about being on the road in the first round and not having home court in any series, I think that's a problem if you're talking about trying to go to the finals.
We need to stay 2 or 3.
I'm good from 2 to 4. I'm good. 2 to 4. I'm good.
I would agree with that.
Well,
I
4
mean,
picks up Detroit though on the second round, wouldn't it?
right, that's why I said 2 or 3.
Yeah, yeah, but I ain't worried about Detroit. I ain't worried
I
about
ain't
Detroit.
scared.
I ain't worried about Detroit.
I had highlighted a couple of things because I actually wanted to ask you guys. This is from earlier. I don't know if he's Blue Drew still with us. He said Lake McKell and Josh come off the bench. First of all, I,
Mm.
I,
I would say Josh for Mo.
but who do you put? Who starts though when you put those 2 guys off the bench? That would be my question.
I
Who you
put
start?
Mo in that starting 5. I'll put Diawara in that starting 5.
Wow.
I don't think he's
Once
ready.
again, yes, I would do it. I would do it.
But so okay, you'd put Mo for Josh. Who you putting for Mikal Bridges?
I'm not sitting Mikal though. I'm not sitting Mikal. I would not sit Mikal.
I don't know.
And what's the rationale for Diawara?
Length, honestly, length. Another ball handler. He attacks and he shoots when he needs to. There's no second guessing. I'm not pump faking. I'm being aggressive. He's still a deer in the headlights sometimes, but he still attacks with and he'll get them shots up.
Okay.
But this is hypothetically. We know that's not going to change. I'm just, East Blue,
Yeah.
Drew threw
Ask
that
the
out there.
question.
But I agree with the Josh coming up because, like I said, remember you saying my downfall that I've seen these last few games. It's definitely Josh with way more turnovers. Definitely not shooting over 40% lately. The rebounds and the assists are down. So it's like, what are you doing? And you're still getting 30 minutes a game.
Right.
Facts.
I'm okay with Josh coming off the bench, but it would have to be somebody better than Diawara, though, in my opinion. And I don't think that player is on this roster. I wouldn't. I mean, you could start Shamit, but now all of the rebounding is on Cat in that in that starting unit. Bridges is an under average rebounder for his position, and so is OG.
No, get Mitch in there. Sprinkle
Double
Mitch in
big.
there. Mitch had 16 boards in 15 minutes the last game. I don't know why he didn't play more.
Yeah. I see a lack of size and athleticism. That's our biggest issue. Okay. I hear you.
Yeah, that is big for us.
Quick,
David Smith, you guys except Jeff want to get rid of Cat, which is a
I
lot.
highlighted that one because I think David Smith completely missed the show. He completely missed the entire show because I think all night we've been saying how we're good with Cat. We're okay. Like we literally the entire show we've been saying that.
We
He
asked
came
the
in late.
question: should we break up those two? Remember, we asked the question like, should we break up Brunson and Cat?
Mhm.
And
He
Yeah.
said we all want to get rid of Cat. He missed the show.
yeah. I guess David, this is a question I have for David Smith because I'm just curious. What is the fascination with Cat? I'm just curious. I'm just curious. And no disrespect, because like you latched on to Cat. Like, why Cat over any other player on the team? Like, did you follow him also in Minnesota? Do you know him at all? Do you know his family? Like, what is it?
It's
No,
the.
I'm serious. I'm just trying to understand
I
I
don't
know
know.
what it
because
is. I know what it is. It's a Kathy Bates and what was his name? He just passed away. James Caan, was it? Was that
Oh,
his name?
in what was that movie?
Misery. Misery.
Misery.
It's like misery. It's like misery.
Oh, creepy movie,
yeah,
man.
I'm
Creepy
really
movie. Oh,
yeah, like I'm just really trying to understand that because
okay.
I
I
don't
don't. I don't
I
know why
don't get it.
y'all not listening to me. Cat is David Smith. Oh, we should try to do a show on a game night. You see David Smith not be available because he be playing.
Yeah, I
Y'all
just
leave
don't get
David
it.
Smith alone.
No, I'm really trying to
I
understand.
know you
like,
are.
He's
It's a-
spamming it's actually almost spam. Like spamming the chat with all of this Cat stuff, and I just don't understand the fascination with Cat. That's
It's
I just don't get
It's
it.
a double whammy with him. He's fascinated by Cat, but he dislikes Brunson. Like it's a it's a dual thing there.
Yeah, I don't get it. I just don't.
It has
I
to
don't
be the
understand.
potential because seeing Cat in Minnesota and the trade happened, I was like confused in a sense. But until I seen what Cat did for us last year with being 50% over the field, 40 high 40s, we talking on 3-point, and still grabbing boards, so it's just the potential with that. Like what culture, what system can unlock this player to be an MVP type player? Because that's what he should be. And but like you said, it's that defensive end is always going to hover and kind of put him down, but it's the potential from my perspective.
I'm mad at AJ right now because all I can think of now is Scooby Dooby Doo, where they ripped the mask. That's all I think of right now.
It's a man crush. Yeah, I mean,
oh, the man crush.
yeah. I mean, every platform, every day. It's like 10-10 wins. Remember that? I don't even know if 10-10 wins it's around, right?
You give me 22 minutes, I'll give you the world.
I'll give you the world.
Oh, I hadn't thought about that in a minute.
All right. Let's see what else we got. Okay. David Smith says Brunson's having a bad February. I tell you, ever since the complaints against him after that Indiana game, he just doesn't look the same to me. Just doesn't look the same. Okay, let's see. All right. Jamrock always, no, we are not overreacting as fans. We are games in and players still saying we still trying to figure it out. Why are we only still trying to figure it out when we losing? I mean, are we with 37 and 20 and what 22? Okay. All right.
Just get to the playoffs. I think that's what we're dealing with. Just get to the playoffs.
It's the expectations because they had us hyped that we were supposed to be number one through the East the whole year, and I don't know if we did we hold the position at all this year? One?
I don't think so.
I don't think we did.
Out of their mind all season.
No.
After game one, did we win our first game? I don't even remember.
We did.
I think
Cleveland.
Detroit was.
We beat Cleveland.
Okay, so we were first with 8 other teams. Said first.
Right.
We did it.
Yeah. 1-0.
We need to get into our offense faster. That is on Brunson a lot. Okay. Do not let Leon Rose off the hook at all. We go back and forth with this front office. When things are going well, they great. They made great decisions. Team struggle a little bit. Oh man, this is faulty roster construction.
Well, two things can be true though. This can be the front office that took us from less than mediocre to quite good, but it may not be the front office that gets us from quite good to great, right? And I think that's kind of the complaint right now. And the thought process is that did we sell the farm to get McCall, who's not an all-star, instead of using those assets to get the actual final piece, which should have been an all-star.
Right. Groovy 226. This is not a team that can turn it on when they want to. We are not a championship team. All right. Dwayne Dennis. This is a very broke. Wow. Wow. Okay. All right.
It's the little things they don't do, Queen. It kills me. Mitch, why they not looking for Mitch for the alley-oop? He's always there, always.
He's getting more touches.
Alvarado does.
Yeah.
Alvarado's thrown a bunch of them. You've seen some explosions of points, 8-10 points in a quarter from him because Alvarado's looking for him on that lob. We've seen that a couple times since we've gotten Jose.
Wait, and Queen, I know you see Mitch off the dribble, right? Attacking the paint, getting that foul.
I did. He's a little wobbly when he puts the ball on the floor, though. But he made it. He made it happen.
Yeah. He does. He needs to go screen more. They don't go screen with him. If they go screen more with him and just have him dive, I
And
think
slip.
that
Yep.
yeah.
I
But the
like that.
problem is always been like there was some narrative as far as remember used to be as far as Mitch Hands and catching the ball, but he seems to be doing a much better job at that though. So I don't
Yeah.
know, but it
You
doesn't
got to
happen
just
much.
put it on the money. Don't put it low. Put it
Yeah,
high. Put it high,
yeah.
and let them get it. Rebuild NYK. It's built in the right way. The game doesn't stop after this year. I still don't like the rotation combination. Yeah, I don't think it's championship or bust this season, in my opinion. See, boy, it's that Celtics boy.
I
See,
hope
boy,
not.
2167. Do you want to
Yeah,
see
that's
my
Larry
dream
Bird.
team? Yeah, right.
Right?
Are there
That's Larry
any
Bird in the
Knicks on
thing,
your
right?
dream team? Larry Bird is number one.
No, no.
Yeah, that is him.
Wilt, Shaq, Michael, Kareem, Magic, Kobe, Steph, Giannis, Pistol Pete. Listen. You don't have any Knicks. Not one Nick on your dream team. So we gave you a little play today, but next time you're gonna have a Nick in there. David Albaya says we reach our ceiling if Cat gets there. Cat is the key. Shaq was correct on that for sure.
I agree.
Okay. D Grant, I heard Deuce will be out the rest of the season, but could be back for the playoffs.
That was kind of the diagnosis when he first had the surgery. We didn't necessarily think about it; it's just kind of confirmed now. But the timeline that they gave kind of indicated that he was going to be available at the earliest, like April 12th, which is like the final game of the regular season. So that's
Right.
it's finalized more now, based on his progress. But that's not out of step with what they first reported. So.
Right. Nick Yak, our defense is better and we all seen these guys put up points. So in other words, stop panicking. We're gonna be fine. Is that what you're trying to tell us, Nick Yak? Okay. Sherman says we don't have the talent. I don't think it's about the talent. Like if you want to say it's not put together, fine. But I don't think it's about the talent. Would you guys agree or disagree?
I'm mad. He named a couple of bums in there. 76ers are
Oh,
bums.
so he's basically saying we're a first round exit. We can't beat Detroit, Boston, 76ers, or Cleveland.
Yeah. But Sherwin, so you said the same thing last year.
Same starting
When
five.
when we beat Detroit and we beat Boston, what did you say after those series?
He
Did you say it was luck? Or did you like what was your assessment when we beat those teams with the same average height
he didn't
in our
show up.
starting unit?
He didn't show up for a couple of shows after that.
Like, yeah, you know. Now, if you want to say we can't beat those teams for other reasons, fine. I don't think it's going to be a height issue. Can we use more height? Yeah, we can. Okay, Dwayne, watch how much Jalen Brunson gets trapped with bigger guards on him in the playoffs. They might. I don't think Detroit is going to trap him. I think they feel like they can play him, straight up. But if this team is as good as we think they are, that's more opportunities for others, right? When Brunson gets the ball out of their hands, let's see how those guys play. We wanted a more dynamic offense. We wanted a less Brunson centric offense. We wanted to get more players involved. Okay, if they double team Brunson, other players that have to get involved. Let's see what they do. Okay. Okay. Nick Nation, the problem is most teams has figured out that if you stop Brunson, you stop the Knicks, double team Brunson, and you will beat the Knicks. That should not be the case. If that happens, then this roster you definitely have, because what was the thing? We got to bring in more help for Brunson, right? OG has stepped it up offensively. You bring in Mikal Bridges, you trade for Cat to get him more help. Now, if they double Brunson, crowd him, try to take him out of the game, and those players don't come, then yeah. It's time to move on. Those guys ain't it.
I think they're moving on from Mikal Bridges anyway.
My man.
Why hire Mike Brown if that's the case? I never wanted Coach Brown anyway, so I'm not surprised. I think he makes a better assistant coach. Looks like my comments are being hidden. If I had to guess, it's that moderator. Listen, sometimes I do think about hiding the post because it's almost like spam, David Smith. But no, we're not hiding your
David Smith is a bot.
we are not hiding your comments. Groovy. In no world should Josh Hart be thinking he could take more shots than the second best player and Brunson allowing it. And not only Brunson allowing it, the coach allowing it. Like this it's just Cat just have to get it how he gets it, you know. They've been prioritizing him over the last few games. Let's see if it happens. If it continues. I'm not sure Budenholzer would be better. Wow, we really down on Mike Brown. But on the defensive end, maybe. But if that is the case, might as well just keep Tibbs. I mean, listen, two things could be true. You know, Tibbs needed to go because he didn't have a good relationship with the front office. Basketball reasons as well. Doesn't mean Mike Brown is a definitive upgrade, right? We shall see, though. I think the playoffs will tell the story, right? Nick Yak, some fans won't admit we miss McBride, a bigger, better shooting Alvarado. He's not an Alvarado. They're two different players.
Yeah, Deuce was hitting those clutch 3-point throws. I'm not gonna lie. We could always count on Deuce to kind of swing and get us back in those grooves. So those threes are definitely missed.
No doubt about it. But I mean, I wouldn't compare him to Alvarado. We miss him, period.
Yeah, period. Yep.
D Grant 63, I'm sorry, they not getting into the final. This is Ajay's burner account. I'm sorry, they not.
Kind of sound like me, doesn't it?
They not getting into the finals. They cannot even beat the Pistons. Not sure they can beat Celtics, especially if Tatum comes back. Yeah, this is definitely Ajay's burner account. All right. Anything else we wow. I wasn't even near the end. Okay. I mean, I may not disagree. And we said this about Randall, you know, that we had Randall cast in a role as a number one when really he was a 2 or 3. And I gets Muga. I gets Muga. Ha ha ha. Cat 10 years in the league and we still living off potential. He needs to accept. He is the third man on any team that is considered a contender. I need the playoffs to start ASAP. I mean, that's not. Listen, if Cat is the third best player on your championship contending team, you are definitely a championship.
Yep.
You are definitely a championship contending team, and that's a fair point. That's a fair point. Any thoughts on that?
Well, who's the number 2?
No, that Cat is more a number 3 than a number 2 on a championship contending
I agree
team.
with that. I mean, if you have 2 players on your team better than Cat, yeah, you're definitely a championship team.
I don't think that means Cat can't be a number 2, though. Like, I think he can be. Maybe you don't think he can be a second option, but I think he can be a second option on a championship team. I think he's one of the most talented shooting big men in the history of the sport, and he's a 3-level scorer. I mean, and is an elite rebounder to boot. Like, he's really, really good, guys.
No, he is a number 2, Jeff. But I think what we're saying is at least that's what I'm saying. If you have 2 players on your team better than Cat, you're definitely a contender.
Right, but that's silly. Like, if you have 6 players that are better than Cat, then you're an even bigger contender. Like, I mean,
a minimum.
Not
I mean,
everybody's like,
realistically, it's still a realistic thing that, you know what I mean. He could be what's name, but I could say that, you know, in my mind, there's points where Cat can be a one, but the problem is Cat. Cat. I'll always say that the it's not that his skill levels, because he has the skill. It's just up here. He can never beat that up there. And once he, because that is something that can be mastered. If he masters that, that guy would be a problem for any team. He just
But
can't master it.
isn't that part of being a number one? It's not just about talent. It is about talent, mentality, mindset, approach, not being able to be taken out of all of that goes into being a good player. Like a lot of times when we talk about who's better than the other, we base it uh, solely on talent and skill set, and that's just not the case. So if you're going to talk about just skill set, you could say Cat is better than Brunson. Once you add in playoff performance, once you add in IQ, once you add in being at the top of the scouting report and not getting thrown off your game, once you add in all of that other stuff, it's not even close, right? If you talk about
Has to.
skill set, Ron Harper, you could say is a better player than Larry Bird. Sorry, Jeff. You know, like if you just
you
talking
don't have to
about
apologize for saying bad things about Larry Bird.
but if you just focusing on skill set, you know, you can
Yes.
take anybody. Oh, this guy's a better dribbler. This guy's a better shoot. But it's more than that. When you talk about player, it's more than just skill set. It's all of these other things as well, right?
Buck 100,
So
100.
so that's why, for me, to me, Cat could never be a number one because it's just not just about his talent. I don't think he can hold up under the pressure of being at the top of the food chain game after game after game and having to come through anyway. That's when the elites, they come through anyway. You look at the Joker, the whole game plan is to stop him. And it looks like teams don't even have a game plan for him. Like that's how good he is. Right? So it's not just about skill set. It's a lot that goes into it. I don't think Cat can ever be a number one, and right now he teetering on a number two, number three.
No, I agree with you,
You
Steph.
know,
At
for me.
100%. I agree with you 100%. But like I said, it's up there. Theoretically, it is possible, but will it ever happen? Point. But I agree 100%. Everything you just said. Everything you said.
Yeah. You don't have to have one player that's better than Cat. You can get the impact in the production out of OG and Bridges. It's on impact of the game. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. You know,
Bridges?
if Cat doesn't come through and OG and Bridges are on, you know,
Bridges?
that could mitigate. You know, that could mitigate that.
Get him. Somebody get him. Get out here.
Come on, man. What game we been with Bridges?
He keeps saying he like Bueller.
Okay. Shout out to Latoria B, sis. We appreciate you. We miss you tonight, rocking with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
Where
where
are
you at? Where are you exactly?
Yeah.
she's probably
Working again?
probably working.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's working woman.
We have everything we need except a coach. Mike Brown, your days are numbered. You think he might be the next Don Nelson? Just 1 year and he's gone? I don't think so.
Victoria, hurry up and retire. Hurry up and retire.
You might need to send her some money there, Nick Nation. If you want her. You see the prices up there in New York City; they're a little bit high.
Facts.
Yeah.
That's why I left.
Oh, she said October. She almost ready.
Mm-hmm. So, you know, time to go.
Yeah. All right. Any last words? Oh, I do. Greg, I do want to put up Greg's comment because he feels like we're delusional. Okay, here we go.
I think
Shout
we
out to
are.
Greg.
I think we are.
At least one of us. On this panel.
And maybe
People
this
that-
shirt is fun, by the way, just so you know. He don't miss a beat.
Right. People that believe Brunson is a number one on a championship team are delusional. And if you think he's better overall than Cat, you are delusional as well. If you think, and listen, Cat is a good player. He has a good skill set. But like I just said, if you're basing it on just talent and skill set, fine. I'm not going to argue with you. But player, taking into account the other stuff, mindset, decision making. You could question Brunson's decision making. It's still leaps and bounds better than Cat. He's not a better player than Cat. To me, it's not even close. But if you want to say he has a better skill set than Brunson, some people would even argue that. You can have that. You can have it. I could probably make an argument, but I'm not going to even try. But player, it's not even close. Can Brunson be a number one on the championship team? I get it. I get why you think he can't. But Giannis had those same complaints about him until he won it. Tatum had those same complaints about him until he won it. Embiid, he may not get another opportunity the way Maxey is coming up, but that was the same questions about
Joker.
Embiid as well.
They said it
The
about
Joker as well. Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We shall see. Feeling real old. Miss Queen, has Brunson reached his level where he can't level up anymore? I don't think so. Does anybody else think that he can't level up anymore?
Not only don't I think he can level up more. I think he has to level up more. I think it's there for him to do it, and I think he has to do it. I don't think he can play at the level he's playing at now and have us win a title. I think he needs to elevate his process and his floor game, and that's the final piece to his puzzle. And if he figures that out, he'll be an NBA champion.
Anybody else? Delusional, what's your thoughts? Do you think he can level up more, or this is about it?
I think this is about it. And we've seen playoff Brunson. Playoff Brunson is I'm averaging 40, and on 40% shooting. I mean, high 40% shooting. So I think that's good. It's what we need. If you ask me, I think the offense should run through Cat, which would make it simpler, and Brunson can feed and attack and eat off of that. But the system is what it is. But I think playoff Brunson can 100% get us to the finals and potentially win us a champion.
What about his floor game, though? Do you think it's just about him scoring, or go ahead?
No. I'm sorry. You go ahead.
No, do you think it's just about him scoring 40 points in the playoffs? You don't think his floor games matters as much, or do you feel like the offense itself kind of takes the decision making out of his hands?
Look, that's the player that Brunson is. We know Brunson is a score first point guard. That's his talent, is for him to put the ball in the bucket. In playoff times, when all else fell, is my offense against your defense. So it's putting the ball in the basket. We have everybody else for specialists. You have Mitch, who's a specialist at a certain thing. You have Cat, who's a big who can shoot. Those are elements as the team. But for Brunson, if we specifically talk about Brunson, what kind of more do you want from Brunson? Because even if he, passes the ball to give it to somebody else to score, now we're counting on their ability to put the ball in the basket and for them to score. So if we're talking strictly Brunson, I think his game is what it needs to be to win a championship. Now, if we talk defense-wise, then that's something different. Defense is he can't do anything else differently than what he's doing now. He's still top in the league and drawing charges, so that's what he's there for. But as far as when it comes to playoff time, Brunson, you go from on a regular season averaging 25 to 26 to then dropping 40, and you're still over 50% from the field, like 30s from three. What more level can you go, to be honest with you?
What about his floor game, though? Just in general, do you have any complaints about his floor
So
game, his
his
decision
decision
making?
making,
Yeah.
his decision making, yes, I totally agree. There's certain moments of where, hey, I want you to pass that to Mitch that's cutting to get him going. And then, of course, now the defense will not zone in on him as much because now you got to worry about the rest of the team. That's 100%, which is why I thought bringing in Mike Brown will be perfect because it's everyone else eating so that we can't just single-handedly stop the one person dropping 40. So yes, 100%. But I'm just basing it solely on just kind of Brunson taking it to another level. And I'm seeing that you're talking from, passing and facilitating. But I think if I'm dropping 40 and I'm still elite and it's efficient, why do I need to pass it in certain clutch moments, certain key moments, especially if I'm getting to my spots that I worked on a million times that I'm efficient at. If we're talking just bringing it up in random pull-up three-pointers and I'm knocking it, no, that's a bad shot, even though you're making it. But if you're in your post and you're posting up, and then of course you're knocking it over one defender, if you're getting trapped and you're still trying to take those attempts, then that it don't make any sense. But I think Brunson last year, you saw that he can elevate in the playoffs. This year, we're going to see how the play of Brunson is because we're in a new system, right? The ball dominant aspect might not get us over the hump. So it's a question this year, but the previous years we've seen play of Brunson is exactly the player that we need.
Okay. I didn't say we can't beat the. Everybody want to move the goalpost. You were still talking about how we were too short. We were too short. All right. All right. Any last words?
I have some. To the chat, I want you guys to give a special thanks to the Queen because through all this adversity, this young lady is in Africa. She has still brought all the shows to you guys.
Unbelievable.
This woman got her account hacked, and even through that adversity, she has still pushed forward. You know what I mean? No excuses. She ain't make no excuses. Came in and got
that truck is real nice that she got. Did you see?
No, see that. But you know what I mean? Still to my point, for you guys to be in here, you know what I mean, to get your frustrations out in the chat and it wasn't here, and to have this fine work and this stuff still brought to you guys. You know what I mean? Be thankful because we all love and depend on these shows because we're all addicted to them. And she has still brought us nothing but great content. So I appreciate you, and I give you your applause, Queen, and your flowers
I
right now.
appreciate you. I
Well
appreciate you.
Right now.
And insist. You said she's in Africa. It's +5. It's almost 3:30 in the morning where she.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because if y'all were counting on me, you can forget it. That's all you're gonna hear. That's all you're gonna hear. So that's it.
But I made the effort because I love this community. Like this is juice, this is juice. I'm feeling a little tired, like, oh man, I don't know if I could do the show. And I'm like, what am I talking about? That's where I'm gonna go and get my tonic. This is where I'm gonna go and get the juice from the panel and from the chat and the replay gang as well. I was going over some comments today from the replay gang. Definitely appreciate you. Any other last words?
Delusional. So glad you can make it, bro. You always elevate the show, my guy. And I love the two jerseys in the background, 11 and 33. You probably need a Starks one up there too, and then it could be like a math equation: 3 and 11 and 33. And I'm not a huge Starks fan, but just to make the math work, I think you
just
need
to make it work. Yep.
Nice. It is nice.
No, I appreciate y'all. It's the stretch. I mean, we have 10 home games and 13 road games. So, like we said, if we just get kind of I want to say how many wins we need to get to 50. I think road to 50 right now is 13. Just a push.
We need 13 more.
Road to 50. Let's just get to 50 wins. Let the playoff bracket fall how they fall. And I truly believe that we'll turn into a different team, because we're not worrying about developing this player or seeing what works. Is we're putting our best 7 or 8 out there. Mitch will play more. Because I think Mitch is a really big difference for us when we play certain teams. And hopefully the coaching will improve, the decision makings will improve. As I know, we've been a great second half team in adjustment, but I think we'll be good. I think we will be good. I think the Larry O'Brien is what we're thinking about at the end of this year in June.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. We will. So Saturday I will be flying back, so I won't be able to do a recap. I don't know if Jeff and Nick Nation. I don't want to put y'all on the spot, but if y'all can, that would be great. If not, we'll just cancel it. The Knicks play. What's the next game after Friday? Whatever that game is, I'll be back.
Sunday in San Antonio, I'm pretty sure, or Sunday against San Antonio.
Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Sunday
So
against San Antonio.
I'll definitely be back for the Monday recap. Ajay, Nick Nation, Delusional Jeff, I appreciate you. The chat, I appreciate you. Whether I agree with you or not, I appreciate you. Replay gang, you already know. And then, of course, the silent listeners.
And
Till
Jarrell, we missed you, my guy.
And Jarrell, yes.
Jarrell.
He's listening. He said y'all seem to be rocking. He said y'all seem to be rocking. Let me do my NFL stuff. I think he's prepping for the draft.
Yes, she is.
Yes,
she is. She's in Ghana.
Yeah. Prepping for the draft. So appreciate you, Jarrell. Next week.
Special
next time.
Special shout out to Kat for listening, for tapping in.
Oh, man. All right, Sam. Until next time.
Yep.
Sister, you one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's
shine. Don't so.
Where you at?
Don't so.